welcome to another episode of Fenton Unscripted. I have a special guest here today.
My name is Bill Hooper. I'm a Senior Director of Operations for H.G. Fenton and also Director of our Capital Project Capital team.
And so can you give us a little background as to what those different departments do? It sounds like you're involved in a lot of things.
Yeah, so from an operations standpoint, it really is just that, the operations of our company from managing the real estate portfolio. We have 4.5 million square feet of commercial industrial real estate, which would be basically a business park. And we also own, gosh, the number keeps growing, but I believe it's over 4,000 apartment units. I'm the leader of all the operations surrounding all those real estate assets.
Awesome. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about some growth stories and just growth opportunities specifically here at Fenton. Can you walk us through what your career has looked like here and kind of how long you've been at the company and maybe where you started as to where you are now?
Sure. So I started, over 11 years ago as a portfolio leader for our commercial team. And in that, I did a very similar role to what I do now, but it was on a specific portfolio of assets. It wasn't the entire commercial portfolio or even any of the residential portfolio. It was just about 1/3 of the commercial portfolio. And then through that, I've grown to a similar role over all of commercial operations and capital expenditures, which would be like construction projects. And then from there, have expanded that same type of leadership and responsibility throughout the entire company to include all of our apartment assets.
And so have you had multiple different roles here at Fenton, or have you kind of always been in that
Well,
field?
my job titles have gone from portfolio leader to, oh my goodness, Director of Operations to Senior Director of Operations and Capital Management. So my titles, I think I've had 3 different titles, but within each title, my responsibilities have grown based on the needs of the company. So in terms of growth at HG Fenton isn't limited by your job title. There could be growth within your current role or description of your role, but there can also be growth which would be considered more traditional, where a job change or a job title change that changes what that entails.
So when you started at Fenton and you kind of saw the trajectory of okay, you come in at this role, these are kind of the promoting up option. You didn't necessarily have the traditional trajectory. It changed based on the way that the business needs changed.
Sure. Our company, if you want to compare it to, I guess, how people describe in the world is, you start in this role, then you get this job title, and that can make you eligible for this job title, and you kind of work your way through this corporate structure. We don't really have that here at HG Fenton. What we have is we have people, we have roles, but then in your role, there's an opportunity to accentuate your strengths. And so when we see people with talent, we look at where's our company going, where are we growing, and where's our focus, and how can we take these skills that all these talented people have and put those talents to best use. So for example, I said how you can grow in your role and your current, I guess when I say role, your job title, but it grows within that same job title because through what you're doing, we've identified and you've accentuated these other skill sets that you have. And so wanting to really maximize the potential of our people, we find ways to use those really good skill sets, not only in their current role, but maybe in another role. So it's not necessarily, to your original point, it's not I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and this is my path, and it takes this much time. Like, use an extreme example, like use the military, for example. You enroll, you're at this rank, and there's this step. We don't really do that. We hire good people in roles that we need at that time, and then as they grow and as our company grows, we want to maximize those talents that people have. So I can't say that this is the path.
Right.
All I know is culturally, we find and we make paths to maximize the potential of our team.
And as a leader
Mhm.
and for overseeing lots of direct reports, what would you say to someone who does come in and wants maybe that experience? They want to explore maybe some areas that are untapped for their skill sets that aren't existing in their current role. Like, what would you tell them would be the best advice to showcase that and get to where they're looking for in their career?
I would say I sometimes speak to upcoming graduates at San Diego State every semester. I go and speak to them, just more of a meet someone in the industry.
Yeah.
And I tell everybody the way you get the job you want is to do the job you have really good. So in the course of doing the role, filling the role that you were hired for and doing it really well, you're going to see opportunities, not only maybe in your role, but in other parts of the company where you're like, you know what, I can fill that gap. I can meet that. A new opportunity opens because, like using social media as an example, which is why we're here. When I started this company, we didn't really have social media really in this format where we really focus on it as a way to message and to get out into the community who we are. But as that became more of a critical path in our society and the way people communicate, those opportunities were created around us, and then we were like, well, who can be the best people to fill that need? And then leadership and at the company, we look at, well, who are the great people that we have, and who could really be the person that really fits into that role and really gives us a presence in that space of the market. So that's an example in using social media of how that occurred, but that doesn't mean that doesn't happen just in the course of business. There's all sorts of ways whereas companies grow, and our company is growing, and every time you grow, that creates more opportunity in the existing ways. So for example, like accounting is an existing function. As the company grows, there's opportunities there. But then there may be new roles and skill sets needed that as a result of that growth showed up. They weren't there when the company was at a different phase of its or different sides, I guess you would say. So my advice is do the job you have really well. Focus on that. Always look for opportunity. And then at the same time, make your desires known. So speak up. Go talk to people that maybe you aren't even in your department, aren't even in your reporting structure. Our CEO is very accessible. He's someone that's very easy to talk to, and he's not someone it's hard to get their time. And that goes for really all the leadership in our company, but kind of say, hey, this is what I've seen. This is how I think I can add value. And maybe that happens and maybe it doesn't, but always put yourself out there and never be afraid to kind of just go talk to people, because even when you're new to business, and let's say you're a recent college graduate, everybody who's a leader, wherever you end up, they were also a recent college graduate or a recent hire, not a college graduate, but they were also new at a company. And we're all the same, so unfortunately, it seems like yesterday that was there, and it's not, but time goes by pretty fast. And so anytime I meet people new to the industry that are interested in talking or just working out ideas, I always make time for that. And that would be the leadership of our whole company. That's not unique to me. That's really just part of our culture.
Do you have any examples of that in the company where somebody has kind of filled the gap of maybe wasn't inside their job description, but they were able to take on those skills, and as the company changed and the environment changed?
Well, I'll use you as an example. So I mentioned how social media during my tenure here has grown in terms of its significance within our culture. I mean, why don't you tell your story and how you fit into that role? Because I don't believe you were hired into a social media focused role.
Yeah, I came in as the residential leasing manager, managing a property in our portfolio, and noticed just it was changing time. Social media was getting really big, and it was a new market to reach customers that we hadn't really been necessarily focused on. My background being in marketing and visuals and design, I had the eagerness to take that on and really make it something impactful and really do it really well. And yeah, that kind of spiraled into just becoming the person across the portfolio that almost the expert knowledge in that area. And then kind of boosted that and started training others and showing everyone what was possible with the new social media and technology and trends, and that's kind of evolved very quickly into what I do now, which is a lot of content marketing. So not just social media, but brands and design and visuals. And yeah, I've kind of created this role that was not necessarily here when I started, and we've evolved it into, other people's roles as well. It's not, I lean on a lot of supporting people around me, and we even have someone in commercial that we kind of lean on for that as well.
So it sounds like, to going back to what I was talking about, you had a role, did it really well. As you were doing that, notice this thing happening, which would be the significance of social media. You have this skill set, and you're like thinking in your head, hey, I think I can fill that. I can really support the company in meeting that new opportunity to reach our customers. Spoke to somebody, I don't know who, but obviously here we are, and it's grown into really, do you even do leasing anymore?
No, I'm completely here at our home office overseeing marketing and content.
Yeah, so I think that's a great example. And then to your point, there's another woman that works for our commercial team who, when you were doing what you do, reached out to the commercial team on the operations side, which came to me, saying, hey, we want to expand our social media presence to include commercial, because it was originally really a way to reach our residential customers, that outreach there, that marketing piece. And I knew one thing, that it wasn't me. So we looked around the team, and we have a woman, her name is McKenna, who she says, hey, she does some other social media on her own, some other branding on her personally. And so she was the perfect person to fill that new need for commercial. She already had the skill set. She did her job really well. And so we wanted to, acknowledge not only her success, but give her opportunity where her interests are. And so I think you guys work together quite a bit, or at least I know when we do need social content, she definitely takes the lead on that.
Yeah, we've been able to kind of integrate her role that didn't necessarily have that social media element written into it, but leveraging her from the commercial side to really get content across that. Because that's like one of the major business areas that we don't necessarily have that direct line from from me coming from residential, and then my partner Carrie, who does it was more at the corporate level and focusing more on our employee lifestyle and all that. So having her has been a huge boost in our abilities to bring all of our focus areas into that. So
so from a leadership standpoint, what you just described really is across our entire company. This one example was around social media, but there's those similar opportunities as they happen. We approach it from a leadership standpoint in terms of how can we meet our customer and meet our customers' needs. The same way, we look to our super talented team. We have, gosh, I think just under 280 people. It's so quite extensive, and we're like, who is exceptional in what they do and can really support us in this, but at the same time, it gives their career an opportunity to grow in probably ways that they just didn't think of. I mean, you started leasing apartments, and now you're not leasing apartments, and I don't think you started, and maybe you can answer, I'm going to start leasing apartments, and I'm going to develop this competency around social media, and I'm going to build this thing for our company. I think it was probably just you saw it and you took advantage of that opportunity. So, I mean, that's great. So you can give everybody now the same advice that I give people that I speak to.
Well, what about you? Did you see yourself in this role originally, where you've made it?
Yes, and I'll say why. So I started in commercial real estate, and really it was my best friend from high school called me one day and said, we need an analyst. I said, okay, I don't know anything about commercial real estate, but one thing led to another, and I got into commercial real estate, and I really liked it. So I just like, wow, this is interesting. It's something tangible. I can see when we build buildings, there's a physical building. Um, so I really like that aspect of it. I meet real people, real businesses, deal with vendors who provide support services, what they really do, real construction. And there was something about that. I don't know if it was the little kid in me that used to play with Lincoln Logs and Legos that just, as an adult, I still just like to see physical things. But I really liked this industry, and so I knew this is where I wanted to be. And so I've always been kind of, I don't know, maybe contrarian in how I see the world. And so at the time when I got into this industry, you kind of didn't speak up. You didn't talk about things you wanted to do. You didn't ask questions about things that maybe you don't know about. But for some reason I did. And maybe along the way I annoyed some people. But I learned a lot of things that weren't necessarily applicable to my job, but I learned a lot about the industry because I was just naturally curious about it. And so I knew that one day or in time, I would take all that and really take all that information and knowledge and experience and utilize it in some way, which is really what I do now. I mean, I wake up every day. I don't mind coming to work. I like doing what we do. When things come up last minute that are high priority or high impact, I just like doing that. I'm just like, nope, I'm new energy, I'm ready to go, and we'll just do it. And that, to me, is really what I enjoy about, I think, real estate in general. And now that recently in the last year, I've gotten involved in residential, not because I planned on it, but the need for the company came, and they I think, I'm very proud to say they saw me as the person who could help with that. So it's kind of like I'm learning this whole nother line of business again.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm kind of a nerd because I kind of like, wow, that's super interesting. And I go out to the properties and I like to look at stuff and explain that to me and why does that matter? And then, so it's kind of all new to me again after 25 years doing this. I know I appear super young, but I'm not quite as young as I may seem. But I just, to your question, yes, I just didn't know how it would look. I knew I would always be in this industry. I knew that at some point in time, I'd want to be in a leadership role. And here I am, and I actually really enjoy it every day. It's fun. Wow. And I guess I consider myself super blessed to have a career that is fun.
I think a lot of us want to be you when we get older.
I don't think so. Maybe.
But yeah, that's awesome. I can attest to that. Doing what you love is definitely way better. Sure. To stay excited about it and wake up every day and to show up to a job where maybe you don't know everything keeps things kind of fresh and it's exciting. So thank you for all that insight.
Well, I think at HG Fenton, for the people that want to pursue really their natural skill sets and interests, when those things align with our business needs, we slot those people. We give those people those opportunities. So I think it's a great place for people to really improve their odds of a long-term career path they're really at that point that you and I just talked about. They do what they love because that was their natural strength, and we want to give those people an opportunity to do that here.
Well, thank you, Bill, for all of the wisdom today and kind of explaining to us and giving insights as to what growth can look like here. And thank you for watching another episode of Fenton Unscripted.
Yeah, thanks for having me.